Good evening, one and all, and welcome to another edition of KopTalk. Yeah, we're back again, man. I tell you, this is getting very, very interesting, people. First off, we're going to say good evening to my panel. So, good evening, Stoney. I can't hear you, bro.
Good evening, RT. I'm looking forward to this week's episode. It's going to be testing. It's going to be testing for me, that is. I'm sure you and Vinny's going to be fine, but it's definitely going to be testing for me.
This is why I am glad to be back hosting. This takes some of the pressure off, because I'm telling you, I've been thinking about it a lot. I've been racking my brains, and I'll be like, I still don't know who I would actually pick, to be honest. I'm still not sure who I would actually pick. We're going to say good evening, Vinny. Mate. How are you doing?
Good evening, gentlemen. Stoney, Artie. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. This is, it's the one we've all been looking forward to, but most probably the one we're all dreading at the same time. Because
definitely, most definitely,
it's going to be some upset campers in terms of this.
Oh yes,
I'm sure.
Oh yes, I can definitely see that as well. I'm sure that I'll be seeing in the comments as well. Oh, you didn't mention this person, or you left out that person. I tell you, listen, we can't talk about everybody. Definitely can't talk about everybody. We'll try and mention who we can and fit in who we can. But remember, we are going for the greatest of all time, so we have to narrow down the list a bit. This week, I believe I've got about 8 or 9 on my list this week, and this is part 1, people. So yeah, this is part 1, because we're going to do it in 2 parts. Because we're doing a 4-4-2, so 2 strikers. So this week we'll be picking one, and next week the last version of this Liverpool's Greatest 11 will be picking the last striker to match that team. Before we kick that off, we will just have a bit of news updates, basically. So it's reported that Liverpool have, a mystery club who've had launched an 80 million bid for Moses Caicedo. Apparently, that Brighton reported that they'd received a bid in excess of Chelsea's 75 million. And it's claimed that the club who made the bid is meant to be Liverpool. There's also talk that it could be between Liverpool and a club from Saudi going for Moses Caicedo. So, gentlemen, quickly, we're going to just touch on this quickly before we get into it. Not talking about current transfer market value. 80 million plus for Caicedo? Yay, nay? Remember, he's what, 2021?
I think the thing with me regarding this deal, I think it was originally Arsenal that went in for the bid, and then there was the little pause where he wasn't playing for Brighton, and then he re-signed the deal. So whatever that the new contract he signed with Brighton is obviously going to mean that himself and Brighton are going to make sure they remain in the best place. That was kind of dragged on. He remained there. They changed their target and they purchased Declan Rice. To my knowledge, I don't think we were ever really in the conversation to actually get him. So I don't know. I've got a question mark about this player. I don't know whether he's going to be similar to McAllister. Look, it could work in its favour. Whether we're going to purchase 2 Brighton midfielders and make that transition to play for us and allow Liverpool to have a dominant midfield, I'm not too sure. I've got a question mark about this. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not too sure about RT.
Vinny?
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as Stoney. I think 80 million pounds. If we are that mystery club, I think 80 million pounds is excessive at this point in time. It's just a lot. It's just a lot of money. I think for this point. I mean, I know we was talking about the young chap from Southampton as well, coming in, or that's the other player they're looking at. But yeah, 80 million, man. It's a lot of bread.
And Brighton are trying to hold out for 100 million.
That's wow!
Yeah, that's ideally what they want.
Okay.
Yeah. So Good evening, Chris Welsh. Good evening, Big Teach. Nice to have you on board, gentlemen. Do you remember, press that like, that share, and that subscribe. Chris is saying, I don't know about you. I absolutely can't stand the transfer window. I think it's a load of nonsense and garbage. So overhyped. People wetting themselves on deadline day for nothing.
Yeah. Agreed.
I hear that. So talking about, as you mentioned there, Vinny Lavia, apparently Liverpool's going back with a third bid now. So Southampton have rejected 2 bids, and Liverpool are reportedly going to go back with a third offer. So you reckon we should meet the valuation because they want 50 million?
Yeah, I think that's more reasonable, if that makes sense. I know I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind Lavia at 50 million. 80 million I just feels a bit excessive at this point. I can see teachers told me to leave it out, but but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 80 million. What do you think, Artie? I know you're the panel host, but you know.
Yeah, no, 80 million it's excessive. It's excessive. But obviously, what people then do is they then talk about in today's current market, Declan Rice has gone for 100 million. Do you know that's where the comparisons come in. So to be fair, Brighton are trying to get top dollar for one of their better players, and I can't really knock them for that, to be honest. But I still feel that if you got a good scouting network, that you can find players just as good for cheaper money. Because how did Brighton find him in the first place?
Yeah, it's true.
Understand? They found McAllister too. Understand? So yeah, I think you got to look at your scouting network, and I think they should be looking at, for me, 80 million. I want to be seeing 2 to 3 players for my 80 million, personally.
And even
said 40 million and some Haribo.
I mean,
which one? The sours?
Yeah. Is that for Lavia? Is that for Lavia, or that must be for Lavia?
And some Haribos. That will do the job.
Even with that price, then, if it was something where we were thinking about purchasing Caicedo for that price, does that mean that we're no longer interested in purchasing Thuram or Kone or Andre from Fluminense? Because I think their original quotes weren't that high.
Thuram and Kone, it's gone quiet on them too, especially as is it Kone got injured as well in the under-21 storm. He got injured, but the talk, it's gone quiet on them too. But the Andre talk, that has just popped up, that's resurfaced again. And he's looking at about 25 or something, 30 mil.
Yeah.
So that's another feasible bid that I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. You know what I mean? You get 3 of them in 30 million for you pay 90 million for 3 of them. And imagine if 2 of them work out well, you've done well.
Yeah.
One of them you may have to guide along, or you never know, you may have to loan him out or whatever, but you've done well. But then you spend all that on one player. If it doesn't work out, Shaqiri busted, and you're down a player, a major player. And if, for me, another thing is, if you're going to go to 80 million for someone like Caicedo, why don't you spend the money and go for Bellingham?
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, that's why I think basically that it's nonsense. It's not Liverpool, because if that's the case, you spend the money and you go for Bellingham. Bellingham obviously is more proven, and you can see the qualities in Bellingham. You can play in several positions. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. What do you say? Chris Ross says, no one is worth 100 million in my eyes. It's ridiculous. Bloody Blackpool offered 250k for my local club Carlisle midfielder Owen Muxon. What were they smoking? They clearly only offered him Blackpool Rock because they won't get his bootlace for that. I don't know about this Owen Moxon. Tell me some more about him, Chris. Is he any good?
He's the captain. He's the captain. He's a club captain. Yeah, he's a central midfielder. I think he's either 24 or 25. He's a captain. I think when Chris jumped on the show a couple of weeks back and he mentioned that was one of my queries as well. Before we had actually purchased McAllister and Dominic, my query was to Chris was,
yes, you're right.
Yeah, whether he'd be good enough to play for us.
Yes.
Quite humorous, his response was. So
yes, I do remember that now. Yeah, well, you let us know, man. We'll have a word with Klopp. You know what I mean? We can wipe quite a few of them, mate, for 80 million, I tell you. Quite a few of them. Liverpool tabled a 21 million offer for Gabriel Viega. Liverpool have reportedly tabled a 21 million pound offer for the Celta Vigo Gabriel Viega. According to reports, they would see the Spain talent remain in Vigo until the end of the season, but it's been claimed by Celta that manager Rafa Benitez is looking more in the region of 40 million euros for his star player. Another young player, what do you reckon, gents?
He's another player where I think his club and his agent are pimping him out, to say the least. So I think it's one of these things here at the moment. In all honesty, I think whatever player we bring in, if it can be underneath the radar, so when we do purchase them, it's oohs and ahs, then I'll be more than happy with them. Anybody who's going to constantly be in the papers where we then have to up our bid, or there's the hint that we're going to be having to up our contract or whatever we're going to purchase the player because we're challenging another club. I prefer if we're not involved in that.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Respect that. Vinny?
I'll be honest, I don't know too much about the player. So I haven't done my research on that this week, so apologies. But I will bow down to the greater knowledge in terms of what you guys think on that one. He's not the centre back, is he?
No. That one that we're talking about, that's Gavavoli. That's the one who's gone to Man City.
Right. Okay.
He's gone Man City now.
Okay.
Yeah. And the last but not least, before we get into it, my peoples, Jurgen Klopp has played down the severity of Alex McAllister's injury after Liverpool midfield hobbled off in Liverpool's 4-3 friendly defeat against Bayern Munich on Wednesday. He said it was just a knock of knees, basically, and he expects him to be back. He says he could have played on. They only took him off as a precaution. He walked off unaided and everything, so they're saying there's no real issue there, nothing to read into it. It's all good. Unlike Christopher and Cuckoo, who won't be ready to face us when we play them. It's all good.
Yeah.
I just need Jackson to get it now, and yeah, we'll be good.
Yeah, I think that little knock when McAllister, it happened just before half time, and I think even when it happened, you can see it was just a clash of knees. And even Robbo was saying to the physios, he was just going like that to say it was a knock of the knees. But literally, once it happened, within a minute, it was half time, and the second squad came on anyway. So, but that's good news either way.
That's good news. That's good news. So yeah, gentlemen, did any of you get a chance to watch that game, the Bayern Liverpool game?
Yes, I did. And the winner by Bayern was an absolute screamer from their left back. An absolute screamer. Nobody would touch it. I mean, the pace and intensity was being played as if it was a Premier League game. And I'm not too sure what conversations were taking place on the pitch. But I think Alphonso Davies had clearly upset some of the Liverpool players, because I tell you, they were venting some anger and frustration out on him. It's very rare that you actually see yellow cards being shown in a friendly, and there's quite a lot of yellow cards shown to Liverpool players in that game. But good pace, good intensity. You can clearly see that players are still getting their match fitness. Liverpool are doing the same thing lots of other clubs are doing on a halfway mark. They're usually having a second squad coming on. I think it was probably only Salah, Alisson and Van Dijk that remained on, and after 60 minutes they made the changeover. So good to see a few players in there, and we just rock and roll. Still not reading too much into it. It's just players getting game time.
Yeah, that's like the people are making comments, that we've shipped goals again, and then you've got other people saying, look, it's just really about fitness. At the end of the day, obviously you want to be winning games, and looking at your pattern of play, but yeah, it's more about the players getting their fitness, and also looking at playing a different formation as well, and seeing how the players can get used to that as well in pre-season, because that's the time to try it out, man. So if you try it out in pre-season, it doesn't work, I don't think that's a bad thing, because you're not going to try it out in the Prem. If you get beat, you've then lost 3 points. What have we lost by losing that game? Nothing. I mean, but that's what pre-season's about. You tinker, you try it out and see what you think. So yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good. So, gentlemen, let's get back to Liverpool's greatest ever team, according to KopTalk TV. Yeah. So far, for you who haven't seen the show, peoples, we have Ray Clements in goal. We have Phil Neal at right back, Andy Robertson at left back, Alan Hansen centre back, Mark Lawrenson as his partner. We have on the right wing, Mo Salah, on the left wing, John Barnes. Centre midfield, Steven Gerrard alongside Graham Souness. So 2 places up for grabs, my people. 2 places up for grabs. What is Chris saying now? Yeah, Chris is saying, I don't take preseason seriously, but our defense couldn't defend plastic bags until Tornado come in. Then it's shocking. Across the pond, he's saying, Cop talk with no Klopp, love it. No VVD. Brilliant wingers, Barnes and Salah, 100%. And only Nunes is challenging Haaland for the golden boot. Salah will be an assister. Ooh. Can Darwin, maybe Gakpo, reach those heights?
Anything's possible in football.
Anything is possible in football, I must say. And I must say, I am liking the look of Cody Gakpo, man. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think he's gonna have a big say in how we play this season.
Yeah,
most definitely. Okay, gentlemen, kick it off. I was trying to delay time, actually, waiting to see if Preds would get on yet, but you know, he comes on in his own time. Goalkeepers, I tell you. Okay, so who am I? Birthplace is England. Played for Scunthorpe, Hamburg, Southampton, Newcastle, Blacktown.
Kevin Keegan.
I was waiting for Vinny. I thought he was going to say that as soon as I said Hamburg, actually. So I'm surprised he let me get to Newcastle. Kevin Keegan. Okay. Signed for 33 grand. Imagine that.
Jeez.
In 1971. His international debut was 1972. He has 63 international caps, 21 goals. His Liverpool debut was 1971, and his last appearance was 1977. He had a win ratio of 54.8%, and he has his honours listed as League Championship 3 times, FA Cup once, European Cup, UEFA Cup twice, and the Football of the Year once. So old Keegan played 230 league games, 68 goals, 50 assists. Total games, goals and assists. He has 323 games, 100 goals and 72 assists. So we've kicked it off with old Keegs, as Across the Pond says. Keegs. Yes, Keegs. So gentlemen, Kevin Keegan.
I think in amongst all of that, the honours that you mentioned there, so he would have received team honours, but I think amongst that as well, he got PFA Player of the Year, I think 81, 82, and he also got, I think, didn't he get
European? Yeah,
he got a European Best Player as well. I think in like 78 or 79. Someone in the comments mentioned that as well, but yeah, as you said. Boy, Artie, you're just throwing everything at us. You started off the show on fire.
Yeah. Straight in there.
He's just going to just slowly.
No.
Absolutely wonderful player as well, Kevin Keegan was. And, you know, after he won everything possible with us, he then continued his football over in Germany after as well. And as you said, Southampton and Newcastle. Pocket rocket, alarmingly strong. For any of the players from, I would say, probably from the 80s, 90s, closest player I could actually, even for the 90s, closest player I can think of his body actually looking at was like Mark Hughes. Remember how Mark Hughes had those real like thunder thighs?
He had horse thighs, man, horse thighs.
Yeah, alarmingly strong, good distribution. Yeah, as you said, God obviously plays the forward, plays the striker. Technically sound. I almost, it hurts me to say, I almost actually forgot about Kevin Keegan as well. Yeah, absolutely amazing player. Absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Yes, I remember him
Where
very
would he
well.
be in your list, Stoney?
Oh, 100% he's in the top 10.
In the top
And
10?
I'm definitely saying within the top 10 because he said these conversations going to warm up 100% within
Only the top 10?
100% within the top 10. Listen, there's too many players.
Not
And
top 5?
Pardon?
Not top 5, no?
RT, I've been on this show long enough to know that you're going to have a lot of players here to be speaking about. And the one thing that I don't wish to do is move my players around. So within the top 10, I'm going to be very happy. And what it's going to do at the later part of the show is open up conversations. But 100% Kevin Keegan is in my top 10.
Good evening, Preds. Nice of you to join us, mate.
Good. Hey, listen, don't start me off, mate, because I'm going to go on a rant. All right. You pay your
Nothing new there, then.
You pay your council tax, right? And all you expect is a little bit of a message just to tell you that they're locking off the road outside your house. That's all you want. 15 minutes it took me. Oh, anyway, I'm all right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And it's a pleasure being back. And I can't wait to start talking about it because it's close, isn't it?
You see, Preds, what you need to do is you need to step up like me, Vinny, and Stoney and that, bro. You need to have your own, your own driveway. So when you get to mine and you turn into Artie Manners, you got to drive about half a mile before you get to my front door. You know what I mean? That's what you need, bro.
No, I've got my own front door. I've got my own drive, mate. I just allow others to drive on it.
Drive on mine, mate. You might get shot, I tell you. Security's tight around here. You know what I mean?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen.
Nice to have you on board, sir. Nice
is that the famous Vinny? That's the famous Vinny, is it?
Yeah, VW, man. That's him. That's the
famous VW. All right. Glad to meet you. Glad to meet you.
Such a storming debut last week. We brought him back for more.
Fair play.
So VW, Kevin Keegan.
Kevin Keegan. Wow. Okay. So I'll be honest. Obviously, I'm a little bit younger. I've not seen his Liverpool years. So I remember more so when he'd come back from Europe and was at Southampton and Newcastle. Just remember around that time. And I think the Kevin Keegan soccer schools. I'm sure Kevin Keegan used to have soccer schools as well, and that's what I remember. But from a statistics perspective, he was a really a good player stats wise. But also he was him and Toshak were the key partnership, wasn't it? So you had the big man in Toshak, and you had Keegan, and like you said, Stoney, he's a dynamite in your pocket sort of player, rocket in your pocket sort of player. Just and the face. What I remember, the face of British football at that time. You know what I mean? He was the face because also England weren't qualifying for tournaments during this period of time, but he was like the British golden boy, isn't it, for the England team at the moment? But I've watched videos and DVDs, and you can see he scored all types of goals. Header, he was brave. You know what I mean? He could pass as well. So yeah, really good player. Really good player. It's interesting that he would be in a top 10. And I remember seeing a video one time where Liverpool players were talking about him and talking about how great he was. But they even went on to say that, look, an even greater player, he was replaced by an even greater player who I'm sure we'll mention.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Big shouts goes out to the Silver One. Does a lot of work for Cop Talk TV behind the scenes, peoples. To give a big shout goes out to the Silver One. He's part of Arsenal channel. And I'll be talking to him about can they push on from last season. We'll be talking to him about that soon. Don't worry. Preds, Kevin Keegan.
Oh mate, those locks, and his little darting runs and free kicks and popping up fast stick. I didn't see it like VW said. I probably wasn't. Yeah, definitely wasn't old enough. Stoney probably.
Don't lie, man.
I went old enough.
Who was, bro?
Listen, don't let this salt and pepper fool you.
Don't lie, bro.
Yeah, I'm probably the youngest one on the panel.
You was probably when you was watching him, man. I swear you was drinking a pint and that. You know what I mean? You was old enough to be drinking a pint.
Oh, mate, you must have been down the factory then.
Yeah.
You had the Kevin Keegan Toshak kind of partnership, and that really went really well. And I think they were a force for anyone. And did he link up with Kenny Dalglish? No, well, I think he came. No, he came after.
Before.
Right. Yeah, he came. He was before. So
He was here before.
yeah. So you know what? It was probably. How long did Keegan actually stay at Liverpool?
I think was it yeah, but because we actually had him in his when you think about it in terms of football, right? We kind of had him in his prime, you know, because he was still there probably when he was probably about probably 24, 25, 26, probably around that age. So we actually still had him in his prime, and as you said, he was managed.
He joined us when he was 20 and left when he was 26.
There you go. So all right, so there you go. Even in his prime as well, and he was managed by Bob Paisley, wasn't it? Was our manager those times as well. Yeah, Bob Paisley was our manager as well. And you know, it's one of those things. I won't mention the other forwards because I know Artie's going to come to it. But you know, previous shows I can mention the other players because we've always been to it. But Kevin Keegan was part of the team with Ray Clements, who we've mentioned, Phil Neal, Elmin Hughes, Phil Neal. Terry McDermott, Steve Highway, Ian Callaghan, Ray Kennedy. I mean, if you've got all of those players behind you, and then you've got him being up front as one of the elite players with an elite manager as well. Gosh, that is just success.
100%.
Didn't we sign him from Scunny? Wasn't it Scunny?
From Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
Scunthorpe.
That's right. See, I told you he was old enough. I told you. We signed him in 71 and you knew that, bro. I told you. See, don't try it, bro. We got your
But
number.
you know, it's interesting when you were speaking about valuations of players just before we started speaking. I know football change. I know valuation change. £40,000 we bought Kevin Keegan for.
33.
33. Okay.
33.
33. Look at that. 1,000. That is not million, you know.
Mate, how much he cost? 33 grand. And he was when he the Ballon d'Or winner as well.
Yeah, that's what we were speaking about as well. Yeah.
So like, come on, look at how much 40 grand would be in today's market? How much would Kevin Keegan be in today's market? It would be astronomical.
It'd be stupid money. So where does he make it on your list, Vinny? Vinny,
you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Technology, mate. Technology. Do you know what?
The way he done it as well. Okay, let's.
This is going to be this. Would he be in my top 10? Do you know what? He's going to have to be. But I'll be honest with you. If you'd asked me before the start of this meeting, I much probably would have said no. Ooh. But only because I'm looking at my top 10 from a personal favorite top 10, not a historical accolade top 10. So from that perspective, he's got to go in the top 10. Okay. And he was very quick. He was very pivotal because Bill Shankly had to rebuild a team. So he was one of the pivotal points of the second team what Bill Shankly built, which then led on to the team that Bob Paisley inherited, which then went on to like the dominance we had through the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. Prince, where's he on your list, Prince? Top 10?
Yeah, he's in my top 10.
Top 5?
Ooh. That's a big call. Because I know we ain't. That's a big call because I know there's so many other footballers or great strikers that we're going to be mentioning tonight. So I'm going to be respectful and sit on the fence on that one for a second.
All right, no problem. Across the pond says Keegan, great fella, great here always. Silver One says his mum had a crush on Kevin Keegan. She loved his Barnet. That's what it was. The time of the shorts, ball huggers were called them over. Yeah. Was so thankful for longer shorts that came back after the 80s.
Don't you lot remember? Do you remember Gola Keegan?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Gola Keegan Gold. Oh, those are the boots.
Yeah.
I don't remember them personally because my big brother told me about them. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in his late 60s. He's more Preds' age. You get me? Yeah.
But even that, when you're thinking about merchandise as well, not only was Keegan popular on the pitch in terms of having all of the big merchandise deals and all of those stuff off the pitch as well, that shows how an amazing player he was as well. But
Imagine his deal must have been worth about $1,000 a week or something back them time there, or £500.
Was it Brute?
Now.
Brute aftershave. Do you remember Brute
Yeah.
aftershave?
Yeah.
Is that his one?
Come on.
That was his one, wasn't it? Brute aftershave.
Come on. Big shouts goes out to Bar Gav. I hope I said that right. Nice to have you on board, sir. Okay, so we'll move on to our second striker. Who am I? Okay. Born in England in 1938. He played for Stockton Heath, Bury, Stockton Heath again.
Roger Hunt.
Wow, side Vinny. Vinny's that guy, you know, when you're asking questions in class and he puts up his hand, you just look at everybody else who's got around him. Somebody else, Vinny, somebody else.
It's like you have to ask a question before you ask a question. Not you, Vinny.
Yeah, Eric, not you, Vinny, today. Not you. Yeah. Roger Hunt. Okay, so international debut in 1962, 34 international caps, 18 goals. Liverpool debut 59, last appearance 69. So he played for us for 10 years. Win ratio 52.24%. Honours, League Championship 1-2. He got 2. Second Division, he won 1. FA Cup 1. League games and goals 404, 244. Total games and goals 492, 285. So Stoney, the man that is Roger Hunt.
He was also a World Cup winner as well, RT. Even though he didn't win it for Liverpool, but you know, it is what it is. They always speak about the young man down at West Ham that had ended up captaining England when they won the World Cup. So Roger Hunt has to be underneath that category as well. So same thing. I'm being honest, just a little bit before my time. Mine was more mid-70s.
I said a little bit, you know.
A little bit more.
You're too lie.
Up until the current period of time. I'm going to be honest, Roger Hunt, I don't know enough about him to be able to comment. So I'm going to pass on this one, unfortunately.
Okay, Vinny.
Which is very like me.
Yeah. Well, if he's before Stoney's time, then he's definitely before my time. But I think he was at he was at Bolton, and then obviously came to Liverpool. He was along with another famous strike partner, maybe even more famous strike partner than him, the part of that first great Shankly team, isn't it? Bill Shankly team. We're really the team which gave Liverpool the prestige it has now. So I know they refer to him as Sir Roger Hunt, which tells you how, tells you how he was viewed and revered amongst the Liverpool faithful. So not quite sure what type of striker he was, but like you say, I think he's our record league goal scorer. In terms of goals scored in the league, I think he's our record. Yeah, I think he's the record holder, and I think that from what I understand, he was quite an unselfish player as well, particularly like playing for England and so forth. So, but yeah, I don't know too much about him. Only what I've seen on like the little videos and that in black and white. So, yeah, he wouldn't be in. I'll be honest, he wouldn't be in my top 10. But that's not a disrespect to his accolades and his greatness. It's just down to what I've seen.
I like the way Vinny says that, you know. I don't know much about him after speaking for 7 minutes. Yeah,
in saying that, you know, the one thing I do remember him being spoken about a lot afterwards when they had remember Satan Greavesy had this show on what would have been Granada TV those times. So when
LWT London Weekend Television.
Yeah.
All right.
Granada.
So I I know they spoke a lot about Ian St. John's partnership that he had with Roger Hunt a lot as well. But as you said, I think there was one of those seasons that I think Ian St. John hit 27 goals in a season and Roger Hunt hit 20. So in terms of partnerships, that I think that's quite nice there as well. There'll be a lot of clubs who'd love two of their forwards to be hitting numbers like that. So they obviously had a good partnership. But as you said, didn't know enough about him to be able to extend what Vinny said.
Okay. And Preds.
Let me take the narrative on this one. I went about when he was playing. So I'll take the narrative. I think I'm in line with the rest of the panel in regards to just seeing clips and the videos of him scoring goals. He's a big guy, wasn't he? And he's a good big guy, but he looked like he had a real soft, delicate touch. But listen, when you are the top goal scorer for 8 consecutive seasons, and we're not talking like 10 goals, we're talking like 20s, 25s, 30s. I mean, he's like you said, he probably started the catalyst of making Liverpool how it is today. So hat off to Sir Roger Hunt, because he's an absolute legend.
Okay. So going to send a massive shout, guys, out to Anthony Herbert. He says, big up, lads. Mr. B said that Mark Hughes was better than Ian Rush. He also goes on to say that Stoney, I was on the Man United agenda last Friday with Mr. B and your other bro. He's a Villa fan, I think. What, your brother supports Villa? Correct. Your other brother supports Villa?
Yeah, my other brother supports Villa. So they were on the Friday.
What's going on in that household, bro?
Must have been murders.
They were all on the They were all on the Friday night takeaway last week. Billy was with them as well. So yeah, brilliant show last week. But yeah, so in my household, you got Liverpool, Man United, and Aston Villa. That says it all.
Crazy. Well, big shouts goes out to you, my bro. He says, you're all new to me, respect to the channel. And he's asking, how would you compare John Barnes and Lineker to current strikers and wingers? Well, I'm sorry, I'm not being rude, but we're going to have to leave that for another week. That's a totally different discussion. We really ain't got time for that, because we got to tuck in, man. We're only 2 strikers in, and we got to tuck in right now, because there's some names coming up that, woo, I get goosebumps when I talk about these names, man. Trust me. Big shouts goes out to the Amateur Football Podcast. Even for this, sorry I can't be on the show. Informative show. I'm learning something new. Mr. Fabrice. Big shouts goes out to you. 2,000 fans missed the era. Yeah, very true. They did.
Yeah.
Okay, so who am I? Was born in Garston, Liverpool in 1958. Played for South Liverpool, Newport County, Oxford United, Real Sociedad, Tranmere.
John Aldridge.
What? Vinny just kept quiet on purpose. You know that, innit?
I know.
He was itching. Vinny was itching, mate.
Oh god.
You know what? I heard Oxford, and I just went,
Yeah. Real Sociedad was another dead giveaway as well. He was bought from Oxford United for 750 grand in 1987. Made his international debut in 1986. He had 69 caps for Ireland and got 19 goals. His Liverpool debut was 1987. Last appearance was 89. Win ratio was 62.5%, though. It was bloody good. Honours, League Championship 87-88, FA Cup 89. League games, goals and assists 83, 50 and 18. Total games, goals and assists 104, 63 and 19. The man that is Mr. John Aldo Aldridge. How did we find another striker who looked like Ian Wright, man? How did you do that?
I have no idea.
I just don't get it.
I'm glad you said that.
I don't know.
I think back in the day, the Tasha was a look, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what my dad said.
But they even had the same. They even had the same physique and even the same like finishing as well. So I think somebody previously just mentioned about Gary Lineker and John Barnes. They're probably somebody that's a little bit younger. But if you're speaking about box to box clinical strikers, that really was John Aldridge there as well. He was kind of
100%.
like, do you remember he used to play like Pippo Inzaghi, those type ones that is just on the last, just on the last defender,
Yep.
but absolutely clinical, quite frightening as well, how clinical they were. And similar to Michael Owen, over that short space, electric burst of space speed as well. Was he purchased when was Kenny Dalglish the manager? I think Kenny Dalglish was the manager.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. I remember Kenny Dalglish being a manager around them times as well. But yeah, I think he had a really good career for Ireland and Liverpool. Yeah, he would be in my top 10. In terms of honours, I'm not going to say that. I remember, I think he won the FA Cup and the Milk Cup.
He got 2 honours. He got the league champ. You got the league and the FA Cup.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. John Aldridge would be in my top 10, but as I said, he's up against some other players. But you're right. How on earth could he be in the same side? I would love to be able to go back and watch some footage of John Aldridge and Ian Rush playing together. That's what I need to do because they both played in the same side.
Very true, you know. Very true. VW.
What a player. What a player. And a very underrated player as well. The man's got over 300 goals. Over 300 goals. So what you learn from that is that wherever he went and whatever level he progressed to, he just went with it. He just improved every level he went up to. So, and I think he did put, I can remember right distinctly, him and Rush didn't play together as much because obviously we had Barnsley, Beardsley, and Houghton, and initially when Aldridge had that first season, that Barnes, Beardsley, Aldridge season, that was the season 88 where he smashed it.
Yeah.
And then he had a really good second season, but Rush came back in that second season, and there was a bit of alternating, and eventually he was not getting picked, and then that's when he left. I think he left in the middle of the 1990 season and went to Spain and smashed it in Spain. But
he did.
things what stick out for me is, and I'm sure you all remember this, that 1988 FA Cup semi-final against Notts Forest, the second goal.
Oh yes,
the setup.
Was it a hat trick?
No, he got 2 goals. He got two goals. I think he got 2. He got a penalty, and then the second goal, which is the famous goal where you get Beardsley linked with Barnes. Barnes does that amazing cross, and he volleys it in the top corner, and it just summed up how Liverpool were playing that year. The man, to me, he's definitely in the top 10. He's just so underrated because of the 1980s. We think of Ian Rush, and we forget about him. We forget that, and I think maybe my last thing is that it says a lot about him because of how seamless the transition from Ian Rush to John Aldridge was. I think that says a lot about him as a player.
Very true, very true.
And I'm sure Kenny Dalglish was still playing a little bit at that period of time as well, because I'm sure Kenny probably would have been like his mid 30s,
player manager,
probably about 35. Yeah, player I'm manager. Sure he was still a player manager.
Yeah, player manager.
Yeah, when John Aldridge was in that. So yeah.
Preds.
Oh mate, legend in the game because he started grassroots. He started grassroots, and what was it, South Liverpool and then Newport County, when probably Newport County was probably in the 3rd division, 4th division, the old 4th division, and then to come into Liverpool on the back of playing for Oxford United with the whole, and it was a big hurrah as well because like Rush, a legend of a striker, was going Juventus, and it was like how are we going to replace those goals, and then that season 89 season when Aldridge and Beardsley and Barnes got together, and I'll tell you what, if any forward needs feeding, when you're getting fed by Beardsley and Barnes,
Yeah.
and he was in the 6-yard box as well. Little
You
flicks.
can't go wrong, can you?
Can't go wrong, man.
Can't
He
go
was just
wrong.
there.
Belly
Um,
full, belly full.
belly
Yeah.
full. So yeah, and it was unfortunate, that him and Rush were more or less similar players. So it didn't work. And we sold him for £1 million.
Crazy, isn't it?
Crazy after the season that he had. So
Mm.
yeah. I mean, Aldridge, absolute legend. For me, I'm using that word quite freely, but it's deserved because the amount of goals he scored and performances he played, and it's just that one moment when my childhood was nearly crushed when that penalty was saved by Dave Besant.
Oh, Wimbledon. Sakes, yeah.
Mm.
Look at the redemption goal.
Anywho,
He came back the following year and got scored, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
As we moved on, Tabriz says, 1958, Jesus, I'm out already. Yeah, we know. we know. Anthony Herbert says he reckons that McAllister will be a good player for us. And as you mentioned, I think it was Stoney said Inzaghi was crazy.
Serious, man.
When they played Aldridge and Rush, you were in big troubles those days.
And you know what? Quickly as well, that season as well. We had a young Steve McManaman come through that season as well. He was 17. So when you were speaking about all of the assists from Barnes and Peter Beardsley, Stevie Mack was learning his trade as well that season as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Anthony's giving me joking now. He says Peter Beardsley was a good player. I think he won Handsome Player of the Year in his last season. He made a comment earlier on about something else, and I haven't read that one yet. Yeah, I think he said with a face only a mother could love. Dangerous.
Oh, but what feet?
That's what we're here for, man. People are getting schooled, they're learning something new, man. Love that. Feel old, but learning stuff from the talk. We love that, man. Love that. Classic 80s mustachios too. Yep, you're damn right. Okay, so we are going to move on from a man that was Mr. John Aldridge. Born in 1961. Who am I? In Newcastle upon Tyne.
Peter Beardsley. I'm here. Peter Beardsley. Oh, you know what? If the camera was a little bit bigger, I'll show you the little two-step shuffle.
Don't injure yourself, son. Don't injure yourself. All right. Yeah. Calm down. You got work in the morning. All right.
I know.
Calm down. Man, he played for a few clubs, did our Peter Beardsley, mate. Carlisle United, Vancouver Whitecaps, Carlisle United again, Manchester United, Vancouver Whitecaps again, Newcastle, Everton, Newcastle again, Bolton, Man City, Fulham, Hartlepool, and Melbourne Knights. Bloody hell, he got around. He's a bit of a tart, wasn't he?
He was a bit of a Peter Pan, mate.
Bit of a tart, he was, mate. Bought from Newcastle for 1.9 million in 87. Made his international debut in 86. 59 games, 9 goals. Liverpool debut 87. Last appearance was 1991. He had a win ratio of 60.57%. Honours was a league winners medal in 87, 88, 89, 90, and the FA Cup in 89. He had 131 games, 46 goals, 31 assists. That's in the league. Total 175, 59, and 42. Peter Handsome Beardsley. Stoney.
I think modern day players, the closest player that I can think of that he used to play like was Coutinho. Remember Coutinho played with us when he was in his prime. Coutinho. Breaking past plays. You're looking at assists, you're looking at free kicks, you're looking at being able to pass through the eye of a needle. That is the closest player modern day times has played for Liverpool that I can think of similar to Peter.
Only thing he didn't do like Coutinho though was he didn't strike him like that though. That's the only thing.
But he didn't need to.
Yeah.
He was so unselfish. So if we're thinking about some players now that people speak about being unselfish, players will probably think about De Bruyne then. If you support Man City, there's a lot of Man City players that say De Bruyne is so unselfish because his ball is looking for the assists for the player in front of him, and that's probably as close as I can to be Peter Beardsley. In terms of having partnerships with players, I think he could play alongside anybody else, and even he had wonderful partnerships with everybody at Liverpool that he played with, and even Andy Cole, the partnership he had with him at Newcastle as well.
Yeah,
amazing.
Sick.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, you're right. He did play at lots of clubs. I don't know whether he was classified as a journeyman. I still think I may be selfish, but I only want to remember him playing for Liverpool and then Newcastle afterwards. But yeah, brilliant second striker or second forward, whatever position you want to call him. Amazing dribbler as well. Definitely in my top 10, Peter Beardsley, 100%. Okay. Handsome man.
Okay. VW.
Yeah, again, and we were blessed in that 80s period, and particularly that late 80s period when he came on. An amazing footballer. And like I said, there's little memories you have, things what stick out in your memory as we're talking about this now. And I remember a goal he scored. It was either against Arsenal or Everton for Liverpool. And what I remember it's a setup. It's in that same 88 season. Someone goes to the byline, gets the ball to Barnes. Barnes does a back heel, and then it comes out to Beardsley, and he smashes it in the top left-hand corner. And it was just a sensational goal. And his season, that 88 season, he didn't start picking where John Barnes kind of took off straight away. He didn't take off straight away. He kind of took a little bit of time to settle in. But then once he was settled, there was no stopping him. Just a brilliant footballer. Definitely in my top 10.
Okay. Do you remember people hit that like, that share, and subscribe as well? Yeah. Across the Pond says he could cross the ball very well as well, and also he was a very good dribbler, just as Stoney had said as well. Okay, Preds.
As much as the technical abilities and his footballing brain was second to none. Just when you got certain players in certain areas of the game where their thought process, they're 2 or 3 yards ahead of everyone else, and what he done in regards to the runs he made, the balls he played, the unselfish pullbacks for Rush or Aldridge or somebody to tap it in, his work rate off the ball, on the ball. So when they're talking about Jono pressing, he was closing people down at pace. I mean, his weight of pass. When him and Barnes signed together,
Jesus Christ!
Wasn't he the record signing? Didn't he break the British record at that point as well in terms of when he signed for Liverpool? I think Liverpool broke the record. At that time when they signed him, like almost 2 million.
And what an inspired signing he was. Like, he just came in, he slotted in, like you said, like Stoney said, you've got certain players who can just play with anybody, and everyone just appreciated when they played with Peter Beardsley because what he brought to their game, not only the game, what he brought to their game was next level. Was next level. So he's definitely in my top. He's definitely in my top 10.
Okay, so Stoney. Ragav says Coutinho was nice, but not an elite from my time. And Across the Pond then goes on to say there was not any divers, Ragav, in those days of the top English league. Beardsley would be the closest thing, though, he's saying, to other players that they're talking about.
I'm not even going. To be fair, I'm not even going to compare him to any players at this moment because I think it's quite difficult. Like, there's certain players that it's like, look, they are them. Like, he's Peter Beardsley, and I can't think of anybody. I get what Stoney was saying about Coutinho, but I like when we talked about him not being able to strike the ball like Coutinho, he didn't need to. Like the little darting runs when the ball gets crossed in by John Barnes, the little darting runs near post, you know, and stuff like. Oh mate, it's magical. I can go on all night about him. Handsome lad.
Diga, and if anybody that didn't have an opportunity to watch Peter Beardsley play, we were access to YouTube. He used to do that little thing where he's right. It's like he used to like. How do you describe it? When he's like, look at it, like he never used to do a step over.
He was like a tick.
He used to cock his leg up on. It's like his little heel. His ankle used to like flick up.
Yeah,
but for some unknown reason, it was so basic, but it always deceived players as well because it wasn't a step over. It wasn't like a jink, but somehow his right foot used to just flick up just a little bit when the ball was still in front of him, and they used to deceive players and keep them off balance. So it's like a shimmy then. That's the probably closest thing I can think of.
No, Stoney, he didn't get people off balance.
All right.
He wiped people out with that. They were going
like
for
shimmy.
Yeah, the shimmy. That little shimmy. It was sending people for burgers, pies, onions on top of it. They were gone.
Yeah.
I like that. Bargav says, okay, he's going to go look Beardsley up. I like that. That's right.
After the show, that is. Not during the show.
Yeah,
after the show, though.
What YouTube is for, man. Trust me. I love that. You see, I was saying, across the pot, these people are wicked. I said it was a slightly face that was deceiving. These people are wicked, man. I tell you. Listen, I tell you. And across the pond goes on to say, Beardsley, I've always said, very underrated.
Yeah.
Very underrated. Okay, gentlemen, we move on. Who am I? Born 1951 in England. Played for Arsenal, Swansea City, Hartlepool, and I can't pronounce that next team, Pezzo Parakis or something like that. Brought in from Arsenal for 180 grand in 74. Made his international debut in 76, 17 international caps, 3 goals. Liverpool debut 74, last appearance 81. He won.
Not Ray Kennedy.
League championship. Vinny, are you that?
Have we Ray Kennedy? You got Ray Kennedy.
Oh my
As a
God.
forward.
Do you know what? He was
on previous
he was a
shows.
striker at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
He
on
was
previous
midfielder
shows,
with us.
Midfielder with us.
Yeah, this is something that I know, like we've mentioned on quite a few of the other shows as well. A lot of the players, those period of times during the 70s and 80s, because they was only able to have like one substitution. A lot of players played in a series of positions. So you are right about Ray Kennedy probably being in a mold. To my knowledge, I remember him playing left midfield more when he played for Liverpool,
More when he played for us.
playing as a striker. But I could be wrong. I just remember him more playing on the left midfield for Liverpool than as a striker.
Yeah, I think when he was at Arsenal, he was a striker because he was very young. Even when he joined us, I think he was a striker, but he was a striker who converted into a midfield player by the time he got to us. But won't surprise me if at times he had to then play up front. But we think we had Toshak and Keegan most probably as the main partnership at that point.
Well done to across the pond as well. He got it as well. He said, Kennedy played both sides. You're right. 2 right. Okay, so he got league championship. He got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. League 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He had six leagues, didn't he, for us?
No, 75, 76, 76, 77, 78, 79, 79, 80, and 81, 82. League Cup.
Because he won it at Arsenal.
He got 1. European Cup, he got 3. UEFA Cup, he got 1. European Super Cup, he got 1. 275 league games, 51 goals, 36 assists. Total 393, 72, and 55. Are we going to keep him as a striker, gentlemen?
No.
Nah. We'll move on from him. Okay. I might have to take it back a bit, you know. Born in 1951 in Liverpool. Played for Everton, Ipswich, Everton again, Barnsley, Man City.
David Johnson.
This guy. Bought him from Ipswich for 200 grand. International debut 75, 8 international caps, 6 goals. Not a bad record. Liverpool debut 76, last game 82. His honours include League Championship 1, 2, 3, 4, League Cup 1, European Cup twice, and European Super Cup once. 149 league games, 55 goals, 18 assists. Total 213, 78, and 27. David Johnson. Stoney.
Do you know that season there where David Johnson played for us? I don't know if it's because Kenny Dalglish. I mean, he was purchased. Bob Paisley was our manager those times as well, right? So we had David Johnson. There's another forward that I know you're going to mention afterwards, so I'm not going to spoil it. But I just remember our forwards mainly being Dalglish and a young Ian Rush. So even though David Johnson was there, my memory of him wasn't that strong. There's another forward that you're probably going to mention. I don't know whether he's going to be in your listing as well, but we had Frank McGarvey that used to play for us those times as well. So even with the striker that you've spoken about, because I think we had probably about the 4 or the 5, I don't remember this player as much for myself. His numbers are there though, because he won 4 leagues and lots of honours, but I don't remember him as a player as much, unfortunately. My main thing, was just Frank, young Ian Rush, and a young Kenny Dalglish those times, unfortunately. So I don't remember much about this player.
Okay. Vin.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either.
But you got him after I mentioned when the date he was born.
But you know what? I think the reason why we don't really talk about him as much is because, as mad as it may sound with those stats, he might have been a bit more of a bit part player.
He was.
You know what I mean? But look, England international, played at Everton, played at, was it Birmingham? Did you say Birmingham as well? Or wherever it was?
Birmingham. It was Ipswich, Everton,
Okay,
Barnsley, City, Tulsa Roughnecks, Preston, Barrow, and Naxal.
Okay, so did he start Everton and then go to Ipswich, or did he?
Yeah, first club was Everton.
Yeah,
then went to Ipswich.
I like that Vinny's.
Vinny don't know much about him.
Yeah.
But I like Vinny's. He only played for England for eight times, though. You know.
Yeah. Hey, but he got 6 goals though.
All right, you know it's true. He's probably playing against the Faroe Islands though.
So yeah,
San Marino.
Hey, they big up Harry Kane, mate. That's all I know.
Sure.
Yeah. So he wouldn't go in. He wouldn't go in my top 10. But again, we acknowledge and recognize what he brought to the table.
Okay, Preds.
Yeah, I think I'm going to just go on the back of that, saying that I don't know too much about him, and also agree with the fact that he is competing with Kevin Keegan, John Tossack, and Fairclough. So he had a bit of competition in front of him, but look, I'm sure he served the club well, and scored some really, really important goals, and obviously he's in this conversation, so he done good time there. So, but not in my top 10.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. B. Heard you've been making some slanderous comments there, mate, about Ian Rush and Mark Hughes, yeah? Don't worry, man. We're going to check you, yeah? We're going to check you, bro. Mr. B is part of the Man United agenda. It also happens to be Stoney's brother. Oh, bro, I'll tell you. Listen, I just don't understand how that happened. 2 brothers, one Man United, one Liverpool. That was murders, bro. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Seriously. Beyond me.
Come in
Okay,
peace.
I've got 2 more strikers to go through, gentlemen. What's he say? No, you come in peace, yeah? All right, and you leave in pieces. That's cool. Okay, 2 more strikers, gentlemen. 2 more strikers before it comes down to decision time. And all right, don't all shout out at once, yeah? Born in 1951 in Scotland. Played for Celtic.
King Kenny.
Yeah.
Okay.
King Kenny.
Bought from
King
Celtic for
Kenny.
440 grand in 77. Made his international debut in 71. 102 caps, 30 goals. Liverpool debut 77. Last game 1990. Okay. His honours include League Championship 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. FA Cup once. League Cup 1, 2, 3, 4. European Cup 1, 2, 3. European Super Cup once. Footballer of the Year 79 and 83. PFA Player of the Year 83. 355, 118, and 116 assists. That's crackers. Total is 515, 172 goals, and 167 assists. Can you? Them figures are just.
And that, gentlemen, and the audience is why we salute him, King Kenny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple.
Well done across the pond. I know you're on the ball, man. I know you are on the ball. Trust me. I know that. On the ball. I like what he says here. He knew him much better as a manager, but he read lots about him as a lad. Well done. Okay. Mr. B saying Dalglish got to be top. Luke, welcome on board, Luke. He says proper footballer, King Kenny. Stoney, take it away.
Do you know they sometimes say you should never ever meet your greats. I was able to meet Kenny Dalglish in 2005 at Wembley Stadium, and it was a very, very, very humbling moment for me. That is something that I will say. If you're looking at mic drops, these modern young people say these goats that they call Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, you're talking about the goat, the father goat, like Billy Goat Gruff. You're looking at quite a humble player as well. And I think for us as well, when we purchased Kenny Dalglish, it was during that era where Scottish players were the norm. So if you're looking at elite players globally, Scottish players had an amazing amount of players in a series of positions in abundance. And I think we were fortunate that we managed to purchase Kenny Dalglish when we did at that time. Not only did he buy into our club, but he actually bought into the city of Liverpool as well. I mean, there were so many amazing stories that people can probably speak about, and someone's mentioned that they only knew Kenny Dalglish being a manager, and it's well documented about how important he was supporting our club and the city during the time of Hillsborough. But focusing as a player, he could play as out and out forward. He can play as a striker. He can play as either side as an inside forward as well. Primarily when we played the 4-4-2 or the 4-1-4-1 or the 4-4-1-1. Kenny Dalglish can play any of those positions up front. Clinical in front of goal. As I said, when I mentioned about being humble, similar to Peter Beardsley as well, he was happy doing the assists as well. As Artie mentioned, he basically won everything that it was needed to win in terms of domestic and European honours. He basically clocked the game for you young folks out there. He clocked football. So he's definitely, for this week, he's definitely my number one.
Outside. Vinny.
I think you can only call him the GOAT. I think all the stats say what they need to say. And to think, right, it's one thing to have had an amazing career at Liverpool, but he had an amazing career at Celtic before he come to Liverpool. So he's had two incredibly successful careers at two of the biggest clubs in world football. So I'm not going to say much. I know we're conscious of time and stuff. I'm not going to say much except he is, although he might not be my number one, I acknowledge him as the GOAT, not only just for, as a striker, but as one of the, him and Shankly are most probably, him, Shankly and Paisley, most probably the three most important people in the history of Liverpool Football Club. And he might even be even more important because of how he managed us through that whole Hillsborough situation and what he done, what he was doing. And I know it takes away, I know we're not talking about the football at the moment, but as a player, but what he done, going visiting the families, supporting the families, getting that club through that period of time. And it wasn't even spoken about in a great detail. It was only known about, I think, only until later years that it all came to light. But yeah, the GOAT, quite simply.
Okay. Reds.
Obviously, seeing videos younger and still watching him play. But one of my best memories of Kenny Dalglish was when he became player manager and he won his first league title, and we done it at Stamford Bridge. And
I was there when he scored. We won 1-0.
Yeah.
I was there. I was, listen, my friend from school, me and my friend from school was meant to go. I never forget, I went and knocked on his door. I was so excited, you know what I mean? I went and knocked on his doors early, everything. My man come to the door crying. He went allowed to go.
Oh.
Listen, as a youngster, I'm talking, I went by myself, bro.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. Me one, go by myself as a young schoolboy. And listen, the fans just took to me. When we scored and they won, we stayed in the stadium for ages celebrating. They had me on their shoulders and everything.
Oh,
I'll never
mate.
forget that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
You know what? You just wish that camera phones were done, were evolved back then, you know what I mean? Because, like, it's brilliant that the memories are stuck in there.
It's up there, mate.
Yeah,
it's
up there. But that, like, even you saying it and describing your, like, what happened, what was going on, where you were, it kind of, my hairs started standing up.
You, it was tense, man. It was tense.
Yeah.
For him to come up with that goal, just to win it 1-0, was just.
Yeah, it was. I think it Craig Johnson who put the ball over for him.
I think Ronnie Whelan. I think it's Ronnie Whelan.
Ronnie Whelan. Ronnie Whelan's crossed the ball over to him, and I just remember him scoring, and then he's just got his trademark.
The trademark. Yep. Never forget that.
Never forget that. Never forget that. Yeah, and it's getting, you know what, and getting me emotional now. So I'm not going to waffle on too much. I'm just going to say that he's an absolute legend, and you know, I want to meet him, but another thing, I don't want to meet him because I think I'll melt in his presence. I swear to, I think I'll just melt. So, and I think everyone else in the panel has said of his achievements and what he's done for Liverpool Football Club and what he's done for the families of Hillsborough as well. It's all been said, and I'm gonna shoot my bolt and say that Kenny Dalglish, like Stoney, is my number one.
Jesus Christ. Anthony asked a question. He says he heard that Stoney was the better footballer than Mr. B. Is this true?
Mr. Herbert's stirring the pot, boy.
He is.
That's a debate for another show.
All I'm saying is I was part of a winning team when KopTalk played against the Man United defender. I'm just putting it out there. I was part of the winning team, so people can take what they want from it, okay?
Let them interpret what they want.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay. And talking about that as well, you have to remember he had a great career as a manager as well. And that goes on with Luke, who's part of Luke and Moss, who ran that channel across the pond. They got their own talk channel as well. So he says, as an Arsenal fan, it annoyed me people saying that Arteta was going to be the youngest manager to win the league. Dalglish, as a player manager, won it much younger. Plus also Brian Clough in 72 with Derby.
Facts. Comment of the night.
Well done. Top man, Luke. I love that. I do. I love that. Was it? See, the next one. Liverpool always on top of Man United, eh? That's right. Okay, last but by no means, definitely not the least. Born in 61. Prince knows who it is already, innit? You all know who it is already. Come on.
I'm going to keep go on, keep going, Matt. I just want to sit back and read it.
Is there any point? You all know who it is. Played for Chester, Juventus, Leeds, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Wrexham, Sydney Olympic. We
Who's
bought
going to
him
be
from
the?
Chester, then bought him back again from Juventus. Signed for 300,000 first, then 2.7 million the second time when we got him back from Juventus. International debut 1980, 73 games, 28 goals. Liverpool debut 1980, 90, and last game 1996. His honours consist of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 league championships, 1, 2, 3 FA Cups, League Cup 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. European Cup, he's got 1. PFA Young Player of the Year. FWA Football of the Year once. PFA Player of the Year once. European Golden Boot once. 469, 229 goals and 62 assists. Total 660, 346 goals and 83 assists. The man who is
Serious. Those are some
the
serious
legend,
numbers,
who is
Mr. Ian Rush.
okay.
Yeah,
Say
those,
no
those
more.
are some serious stats.
I'm
I just,
telling
you know what? I just wanted to like you said, we all knew who it was, and I just wanted to sit back and I just wanted to listen and admire. Like, yeah, yeah. I listen. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I must say, absolutely amazing.
I think in addition to him being an amazing player to play for Liverpool, I think if there's any players, if there's anybody tuning in that have a Welsh background as well, I think he would have been revered in Wales as well. And if you're looking at Welsh players that are amazing, at that time it would have been John Toshak, it would have been Ian Rush. Later on down the years, it probably would have been Ryan Giggs and then Gareth Bale. So those 4 players, I think Welsh players.
Dean Saunders.
Yeah, and probably Gene Saunders.
Kevin
Mark Hughes, Kevin Ratcliffe, Neville Southall.
Neville Southall, the big
Hey, listen, I rated him as a goalkeeper, you know.
Yeah.
Bad boy goalkeeper.
So isn't that interesting as well? Look at the additional players that you guys have actually reeled off as well. It wasn't just players from England that were really good. We mentioned there was a lot of players from Scotland that were good, and obviously you guys have just obviously reeled off a lot of Welsh players as well. But on Ian Rush, I know I mentioned it briefly when we were speaking about John Aldridge, and I mentioned briefly about Inzaghi. Clinical, absolutely clinical. Now, the word or the expression I'm actually going to use, all right, is like a gunman, because in front of goal, he was just so clinical. Same thing around that 6-box area. He knew where the ball was going to be. I think what was really nice about the way that Ian Rush played, the players behind him, so all of our midfield players understood his runs. So a lot of the time, he didn't even have to break it. You know, sometimes you can see players even looking over their shoulder. Within a blink, he's just there. And I think for a lot of defenders, over a short period of time, because he did have that electric burst, by the time the defenders were in anywhere near him, the ball was in the back of the net.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It wasn't,
his first 20 yards was horrible.
Yeah. Horrible. And he had a low center of gravity as well. I think that's what I used to like about him. But yeah, brilliant player. As you said, the stat speaks for itself. But even if you want to remove, as you said, all of the goals and all the assists and all of the honours that he actually won as well, what he contributed to all of the teams over the period of time that he played, and we've mentioned already, he would have played along a lot of different combinations of forwards as well, because I think we got him when he was 17 and then when he came up from Juve, I think he was probably about 29, probably around that age. So that period of time that he was actually there, he would have played through so many different partnerships. But one thing that was always there, he knew how to put the ball in the back of the net. Definitely up there within my top 3, Ian Rush.
Definitely. And you know what I liked about him as well was he's like the old school version of what we have now with the press, the closing down as well. He was well known for that. Well known for that.
Mm.
Across the pond says he was a clinical killer. That's Moss.
Yeah.
Like I said, good stream. Keep up the work. Nice one. It was always that argument, in it, Rush or Lineker. Always that argument. Always. VW, Ian Rush.
Goals. Goals
Goals
In,
galore.
in my opinion, when that conversation used to happen between Rush and Lineker, it was never, it wasn't even an argument. Yeah, it's Rush all day long. It's just that Lineker was playing for an England team which was getting into tournaments and so forth. Ian Rush, although that Wales team, we'll never understand how they never got to an international tournament when you consider the talent they had at that time, world-class talent. But this guy, like, he's got 5 goals in FA Cup finals. 5. Played in 3 FA Cup finals. Well, might have played in more, but he's got, like, you know, just, and goals in the League Cup finals, and he could, is off the board, he was good. He could link up play. He was just great. This is going to be interesting. He would be my number 1 this week.
All right. That's just what I like. Preds.
Yeah, I'm going to stir the pot, but before I stir the pot, I think one of the defining moments is Rushy, and I think Stoney already mentioned it. That little dart across, that little diagonal dart across defenders, and then he'd always spin on a swivel, and he'd always go side. Not it goes across, like all strikers and players I've said have been taught to hit the ball and strike it across the goalkeeper. He hit it with such precision across the goalkeeper that he didn't go in the corner of the net. It went at the side netting, or it might have just clipped the post. And those are my defining moments. Is like him making those darting little runs, and he weren't quick, but he knew there's people in this game who know where the white sticks are.
He was quick over the first 30, 40 yards, bruv. I'm telling you, that burst was electric.
Yeah. I know. I'm not saying it was electric, but I mean, like, yeah, he was. Yeah, if you want someone who, like, I think VW said, you mentioned Rush goals. I've got to be, you know, and yeah, he should have went on to do more, not just in the international stage. But I'm married to a Welsh lady, so I can't say too much about that. Not about the Welsh being married.
On the couch, bro.
Yeah, not talking about not being married to a Welsh woman, but you know, I don't want to. I think they had a great team, and we've already discussed that. Rush, where I'm going to stir the pot, I think Rush and Dalglish for me is the joint number 1. Like, I refuse to try and, you know, which one?
You know, well, you're going to have to. I'll let you know a little bit of you're going to have to. Yeah, you are going to. And hear what? And very shortly, as a matter of fact. So before we do that, well, I'm going to give you a bit of time to think. People's in the comments and that, in the chat room. Please do remember, this is part 1 of the Striker Show. So if you've enjoyed this one, and I know, you know what, it's like a cliffhanger, because you need to see what happened in it. You do need to see what happened. You need to see the pairing. I know if that's me and I watch this, I need to watch next week to see who they're going to be paired with. So make sure you tune in next week, same time, same place, 10 o'clock, Cop Talk, to find out who today's striker will be paired with. Okay, remember that. All you need to do, peoples, is hit that subscribe, and you'll get the notification so you won't miss it. All right? Okay, people, you need to think up now. I need your top 3 from 3, 2 to 1. Okay? You know this is... I don't know why Prince is taking off his glasses like he's just like he's not done this before. But you've been there before. You've been there before more than once.
I'm building up the tension. I'm building the tension.
That's looking stress, bro. I've seen a few more grades pop up. So let's get this down. Stoney.
Yeah.
V.
So shall I do my 3, 2, and 1?
Hold on. VW. Friends. Okay. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay. Lovely. Right. Stoney, your 3, 2, and 1, please.
Yeah. So I think we all agreed that these 2 episodes were always going to be the hardest. And before I make my decisions, everybody's always going to have a different viewpoint, but these are just mine. So in 3rd place, mine is Kevin Keegan. In 2nd place, yeah.
Yep.
In 2nd place is Ian Rush.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1st place is the player that Puma actually ended up naming a pair of boots afterwards. Remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Puma Dalglish. You know,
Yeah.
you don't hear Puma Lineker. You don't hear Adidas. You don't hear Adidas Messi or Nike Ronaldo. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. Or Adidas Mark Hughes. Yeah, Kenny Dalglish is my number 1. Kenny Dalglish, Sir Kenny. I do apologize.
VW.
Ooh. I'm struggling with 3, but I'm going to go for John Aldridge at number 3.
I had a feeling, you was going to do that.
At number 2, I'm going to go for Mr. Dalglish. And at number 1, I'm going for Mr. Rush.
Okay. Yours is the same as Moss from across the pond.
Oh, okay.
Exactly the same. Aldridge, Dalglish, and Ian Rush.
All right. Okay. There you
Okay.
go.
Mr. Herbert has gone. He's even squeezed in a 4th. Don't know what class he was in maths, mate, but the handsome one, Beardsley, Keegan, Rush, and Dalglish. Okay.
Before you make your decision, Preds, no pressure, but you'll have the trolls on next week if your decisions aren't correct, sir.
Mate, I don't know what you're talking about. I get trolled every day of my life. Okay, just going to say it out there. Number 3, Beardsley. Number 2.
He's done this differently.
Number 2.
He's killing him.
Number 2 has got to be.
Think about who you got to choose from next week.
If you think this week is hard,
Okay.
next week's gonna be.
Are these strikers? Do these strikers have to complement one another? That's the question, isn't it?
Well, on that, see, I'm now starting to think tactically and technically.
Oh, no. Pity, man, pity.
Vinny, man, love you, mate, love you. Second is Ian Rush, and first is King Kenny. Because I've got a feeling, I know who's up front, who's coming next week, and the dynamics, the little partnerships within the team.
Listen,
I should have kept quiet.
Rush could have played with any of them. Yeah. Likewise, Dalglish or Rush could have played with any of them from next week, as far as I'm concerned. Man.
Aren't you choosing, Artie? Aren't you choosing?
No, the host doesn't choose.
Oh man!
And we have to remember, I could then go on and make it an even number.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so we have to leave it like that. So striker number 1 to the list now, Kenny.
See, I see across the pond. He says it. I've having a look at his comment, and he's saying about Beardsley as a midfielder. Like Beardsley's like second striker, like number 10 or striker number 9. He can, he can drop into those areas.
Greetings, Mr. Fitzwarren. Nice to have you to join us, mate. Nice to have you to join us. My peoples in the chat room, I'm telling you, it's lovely, mate. Keep them comments coming in. Do remember, it's all about next week. We're going to finish off this team. And I'm going to throw a little sprinkle in there. If we can do it quick enough, we've got enough time, we might even have to pick a manager.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, there's a little sprinkle in there. Yeah, so be prepared next week.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, be prepared. Yeah, a little flavor, a little something, something. VW, big shouts for that. Yeah, VW. You know what I mean? Gave me a little inkling on that one there because we have to have someone to lead the ship. I have to have someone to lead the ship. All right. So yeah, next week will be the final one with the team because after that, the season will start. What we've been waiting for. So next week, actually, what we will do is we're going to do the last striker, the manager, and the team captain.
Can Lee? Like, can I ask?
This might be a 2.5 hour show.
Can I ask?
For your boss, you're going to be late next Friday.
Can I ask, Stoney? Are you bringing your technical finger to the show next week? Because when you was away, Lee, this guy, where is he?
Yeah,
there he is.
I will make sure Artie's gonna bring it up next week. I'll just give Artie access to it. Artie will just present it next week for us. That's all.
Hey, we've gone next levels.
Is your things on screen, yeah?
Oh, mate. When we come off air, I'll give you a little bit of an explanation.
Bro, I was on the show last week.
Oh, you see it? Oh, you see it? There you go.
Stoney was trying to, you know what I mean, do me out of a job. I didn't say nothing, you know, but now you brought it up. It's all right.
No, not at all.
I made my notes, bro. Look, I've made my notes on it. You know what I mean? Don't worry.
When he done it, it was like, oh, Lee's not gonna like that.
Oh, you're getting bossy on me. It's all right, man. It's all right.
Oh dear.
To say, yeah, Beardsley was ahead of his time and could play anywhere. That's right. Okay, gentlemen, but thank you very much. That was actually excellent. I love that. I really did enjoy that. I must say, and I know it was very, very hard for you to pick, but some great insights there, some great information. You know what I mean? I love that, man. The knowledge is just brilliant. You know what I mean? Loving that. So, Stoney, thank you very much, my brother.
No, thank you. I just deeply appreciate it once again, and I can only reiterate. When last season finished, RT spoke to everybody that's involved in the show. He gave us some ideas for us to think about over the summer, and I'm so glad that it's actually beared fruit. RT, so salute to you, sir. I think it's been brilliant delving back in and speaking about a lot of players that have played for Liverpool over a period of time. I've been educated, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers have as well. So thanks once again. It's been a brilliant show, and I look forward to being part of episode 2 for next week.
Yeah, man. Brilliant. VW.
Yeah, gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this show tonight. Really, really good, really interesting. I'm disappointed, man. As much as I love Dalglish, Ian Rush should have been that striker. It should have been Rush. You'd have done a madness, but yeah, everyone just really enjoyed it. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Okay, and Preds.
Hey, gentlemen, it's been absolutely a pleasure coming back on after having a week off. And people who have logged in tonight, the new guys who come in as well, fantastic comments in the bar. So keep them going. Let's build this thing up because we've got a big season coming ahead. So, let's get on it. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe.
That's the one.
Good night.
So, good night, my peoples. God bless. Thank you very much for having us. And I look forward to all seeing you next week.